It's been said that those that can't do, teach. But this does a disservice to the many wonderful teachers out there willing to do a thankless job, because behind every great hero is a great mentor, someone who was able to walk the path before them and guide their way. Nobody is born knowing how to do everything, and at some point or another, you're going to have to go under someone else's wing to learn how to do things properly. Whether you're a student in school, a new recruit at your job, or a Jedi Knight in training, it pays to listen to the advice of those who have come before you. In a video game, a good mentor is more than just a teacher. They're a friend, a confidant, and unfortunately, a frequent victim of someone else's tragic backstory. But even so, their influence continues to be felt far beyond the confines of the tutorial level, and they're teachers not just to the protagonist, but to the player as well. I'm Ashton from TripleJump, and here are the 10 best mentors in video games. Number 10, Chop Chop Master Onion, the Parappa the Rapper series. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has had a teacher so mean that they made me cry, but they've still got nothing on Parappa's karate instructor. After all, who could make you cry more than a man who's literally an onion? Chop Chop Master Onion runs the local karate dojo in Parappa Town, instructing students in all the essential skills of martial arts: kicking, punching, chopping, and turning? I suppose it is a good thing Parappa learned that one before he tried to get his driver's license. Even after Parappa has earned his black belt, Master Onion still has more lessons to teach, and shows up when his student needs him the most, like when there's a girl to impress, or a line at the public bathroom, both situations where karate skills would be sure to come in handy. Much like an actual onion, Chop Chop Master Onion's wisdom has layers to it, and as the first of Parappa's many masters, he shares lessons with the young rapper that extend far beyond the walls of his dojo. And, should all of his other teachings fail, he can always grow to the size of a kaiju to defeat his enemies. Just when exactly were you planning on teaching us that one, Sensei? Number 9, Professor Oak, the Pokémon series. The first, arguably the greatest, and certainly the most famous of the many professors in the Pokémon series, Oak was the one who introduced an entire generation of 10-year-olds to the world of pocket monsters for the first time. Upon booting up Pokémon Red or Blue, new players are greeted by a friendly-looking old man in a lab coat who tells them everything they need to know about Pokémon. This is Oak, the so-called Pokémon professor, and the one responsible for starting fresh young trainers on the right foot by giving them a partner of their very own and recruiting them to be his unpaid assistants. I mean, giving them a Pokédex to record information while they're out in the wild. While he may not remember the name of his own grandson, Professor Oak knows just about everything there is to know about Pokémon, and yet he's always eager to learn more by studying the creatures in any way he can think of, be it through photography or watching television. He's more than willing to impart some of his vast wisdom onto anyone willing to listen, including such important lessons as don't ride a bicycle indoors, though you may want to take some of his Pokeball advice with a pinch of salt. Number 8, Zero, the Mega Man X series. There is perhaps no greater rivalry in history than that which exists between the colour red and the colour blue. But must they always be enemies? Or can they also be allies? That's the question posed by the relationship between X and his friend/rival/mentor, Zero. During the development of Mega Man Mega Man X, Zero was actually created as a potential redesign for Mega Man himself, but ended up becoming his own character in the story. Both Zero and the main character, X, are hunters of special robots called Mavericks, but Zero is a special A hunter, while X is a lowly B class. And so early on, Zero serves as a figure for X to look up to whenever he jumps in to teach the player a new ability they'll need to progress, or just to steal the cool moments for himself. The two gradually become equals, until the fruits of Zero's teachings pay off when we get the chance to finally play as him ourselves. Thanks to his striking design and unique abilities, Zero ended up becoming quite the popular character, perhaps a bit too popular in fact, as he would go on to be a more regular inclusion in crossover games than the actual Blue Bomber himself. Ouch. Number 7, Kratos, Tales of Symphonia. Everybody needs a good father figure in their life, whether it's their actual father or someone who stepped up to fill that role. And oh dear, does nobody need one more than poor Lloyd Irving. After being orphaned at a young age, Lloyd was taken in by the dwarven blacksmith Dirk, who raised the boy as his own. But when Lloyd's hometown was destroyed due to misunderstandings, and he was exiled, he was left without a strong presence to guide him. Enter Kratos Auron, wandering mercenary and bodyguard, who begrudgingly takes the hot-headed young man under his tutelage on their journey together. Kratos instructs Lloyd in many things during their travels, the essence of proper swordsmanship, and techniques to protect both himself and others, which coincidentally provides the player with a tutorial of sorts as well, but also more important lessons like patience, responsibility, the value of human life, and cooking. While the two frequently butt heads and even cross swords on occasion, it's clear that a strong bond of mutual trust and respect forms between them on their adventure, and it is under the guidance of Kratos that Lloyd begins to grow into a man capable of saving the world and making all of his dads proud. Number 6, Professor Egad, the Luigi's Mansion series. You can always trust somebody wearing a white lab coat to be an expert in whatever they're talking about, be it medical diagnoses or ghosts. And you can believe me because I'm wearing a white lab coat right now. Professor Elvengard is a paranormal expert and frequent visitor to haunted mansions as part of his studies on spooks, spectres and apparitions of all kinds. And as the owner and operator of his own company, he is also an accomplished inventor who has constructed many wondrous contraptions for dealing with said restless spirits. Unfortunately, he's definitely more skilled at tech support than he is at being a field man, and thus often needs a helping hand when exploring such haunted locales. That's where Luigi, Mario's younger brother, perpetual coward, and basically the last person you'd want to rely on to save you from a haunted house, comes in. But with Egad's instruction, Luigi quickly masters his arsenal of ghost-busting gizmos and makes short work of the spectral infestations in which he keeps getting tangled up. The professor does have hobbies outside his supernatural endeavours, however. He also runs a coffee shop, where he's the first to sample any new brews that Mario Brothers concoct and give them his seal of approval. Truly a man of many tastes is Professor Gad. Number 5, Auron, Final Fantasy X. They usually say not to hit a guy who wears glasses, but in the case of Auron, you should definitely be afraid of a guy with glasses hitting you. Auron is one of the bodyguards protecting the summoner Yuna on her pilgrimage to destroy Sin. That is, Sin the giant whale monster, not Sin the religious concept. That would be silly. Among the group of teens and 20-somethings, Auron functions as something of an elder statesman, providing a viewpoint with more experience and knowledge than his younger and more hot-headed counterparts. And that's to say nothing of his vast sword skills. In addition to his bodyguard duties, Auron also serves as a surrogate guardian for the young hero Tidus, the son of a former friend whom Auron promised to keep an eye on. Auron has consistently been labelled one of the most popular characters in the entire Final Fantasy franchise, even earning himself the distinction of being the first character from the series to be a proper party member in the Kingdom Hearts games as well. With his peerless sword skills and aura of mystery, he's someone that most of us can hope to be only half as cool as someday, and he can do it all with one hand tied behind his back. Number 4, Victor Sullivan, the Uncharted series. Not every man can pull off a mustache, and those few who do are to be feared and respected. Case in point, Victor Sullivan, a man who has cheated death more times than should be possible and avoided more deaths than seem legally permissible. Sullivan, or Sully to his friends, is a career criminal who crossed paths with a teenage runaway named Nathan Drake. But rather than sending the young man on his way or turning a blind eye, Sully took the troubled boy in and showed him the ropes of the treasure hunting game. Sully is the closest thing the orphaned Nate has to a family for most of his life, and it's not long before the two are fast friends and partners in crime. Even though we don't see all the ins and outs of their years together, it's obvious from the get-go that Sully is someone Nate has absolute faith in. And while he may not always be the one getting his hands dirty, he's always got Nate's back. After all, a friend you can trust is worth their weight in gold when you live outside the law. And perhaps the relationship between Nate and Sully was the real treasure all along. Oh god, I can't believe I actually said that. Number 3, The Boss, Metal Gear Solid 3. You know you've made it as a soldier when you get a cool nickname, especially when it becomes the only name people know you by. Many characters in the Metal Gear series have earned such a distinction, though if you're the poor sod who earned the Coward Duck moniker, you may wish otherwise. But no one has done more, seen more, or earned more epithets than the Mother of Special Forces, aka The Joy, aka Mercury Lady, aka The Boss, the most legendary soldier in American history. She's credited with the creation of the military martial art of CQC, as well as leading her unit to victory at the Battle of Normandy, plus many other accolades that are too numerous to list here. But one of those is being the mentor to another future legend, Snake. The Boss taught Snake everything he knows about combat, espionage, and survival, even becoming something of a parental figure to the impressionable young soldier. Her defection to the enemy put a bit of a damper on their relationship, but even as the villain, she continues to teach Snake valuable lessons, though they do feel a bit more strict. They say there are no bad students, only bad teachers, but I'm not going to be the one to tell her that. Number 2, Doc Louie, the Punch-Out series. There's a reason that having someone on your side is often referred to as them being in your corner. If you're a boxer, your corner man is the one who's there to cheer you on and keep your spirits up, or throw in the towel when you've gotten the snot beaten out of you. It takes a true friend to watch you get your face rearranged after all. Doc Louie is a former world champion pugilist turned trainer for the up-and-coming contender Little Mac, and a finer coach you couldn't ask for. The man is 100% dedicated to Mac's training, as he can be seen working with his pupil day and night, and even outside in the harshest elements. He uses all the best equipment from the simple punching bag to the highly advanced hologram projector that he just seems to have lying around for some reason. And when all else fails, he's more than happy to get back in the ring himself for a bit of sparring. Doc's support doesn't just end there, as he continues to be supportive during a match, providing Mac such crucial advice, like the importance of joining the Nintendo Fun Club. Truly, he has many lessons to teach, but the most important, don't get between Doc Louie and a chocolate bar. And number 1, Mia Fey, the Ace Attorney series. Every legal eagle has to one day learn to spread their wings and fly, and sometimes they just need a little push out of the nest. Unfortunately for fledgling defense attorney Phoenix Wright, his gentle nudge was more of a kick in the teeth. Mia Fey was the owner of a law office and an accomplished lawyer in her own right, who was there to help Phoenix learn the ropes of the courtroom. Emphasis on the word was, however, as after Phoenix's first case, Mia wound up being the victim in his second, and if the story ended there, then Mia probably wouldn't be on this list at all. Fortunately for Mia and her erstwhile protege, she also happens to come from a family of spirit mediums, and when needed most, her ghost can still be called upon to provide counsel to get Phoenix out of a jam. There are many mentors whose deaths helped set their students on the right path, but Mia wasn't willing to let that be the end of her involvement and keeps coming back for more, with surprising regularity to boot. With her on the side of justice, bad guys don't stand a ghost of a chance.